I'm gonna play this off YouTube, but we'll go over it in a little bit, Jamie. Thank you for posting that. Good morning, everybody. Today I want to talk about something I'm going to call a perfect reseller score, which is 50. 50 would be the highest score that you can get. And to me, this would be how good of a reseller you are, not necessarily how much you do in sales, not necessarily how many items you sell, but this framework that I'm going to give you guys is where I would consider you a perfect reseller. Perfect score is 50. The first one is your observation skills, right? Are you noticing right away if your sales are different, if your sourcing is different? Are you noticing that there's a different store manager? Are you noticing the traffic patterns? So observation is a perfect score would be 10. That means you notice everything about everyone. Something's different. You walk a little bit different. Carrie notices a sheep smells different this morning. Everything like how high are your observation skills on a scale of 1 to 10? You notice your listings are normally doing well. Today is a little bit off. So I think most people, especially resellers, have pretty decent observation skills. You could call this the eye. Do you have the eye? When you're in a store, can you see something that's priced incorrectly? So I want everyone in the chat right now or online, give me a rating on a scale of 1 to 10 of what your observation skills are. Um, the next is this is from like the military, is orientation. So like, um, are you able to sort of point yourself in the direction of where you think you might need to be headed? So the shortest direction or the shortest distance between where you want to go, your reseller nirvana goal, let's say $1,000 a week, $1,500 a week. How good are you at pointing yourself in the right direction? Like, do you know, like, if I keep doing this, I'm going to be able to hit my goal? Is it, or you're not really sure? You're doing this and you're not really sure whether or not you're going the right direction. This is kind of important because some people can kind of stumble their way towards where they want to go as long as they're pointed in the right direction. But if you don't have a sense of like this is getting warmer or colder, let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how you're feeling on orientation. The third one is going to be like determining what options you have to take. So let's say Melanie is working on developing better sourcing. Or let me ask you guys in the chat, what are you guys working on in your resale business? Is it sourcing, organization, bookkeeping? What are the specific things you are working on in your business? For me, I can give you some examples. I'm working on organization. I want to make sure that my everything is where it's supposed to be. I'm working on standardizing things. I'm working on scheduling, certain things I'm working on. Now that you know what you're working on, so let's say Paula, she's working on organization. How good are you at determining what options you have? So Vince is in the chat. He's learning how long everything takes. So now you've decided you want to work on organization or you want to work on time. How fast is it taking you to do things? Can you recognize your different options? So for Paula, is it like everything has its place and I'm going to mark it? Today at my warehouse, we're marking everything with tape so I can kind of get an idea of where everything goes. And I want to number everything. So I saw on a warehouse tour, this person had every single thing in the entire warehouse numbered. It was literally like pen number 1 of 37, and everything was numbered. It was so easy for everybody to see what was out of place. And I started doing that, and I honestly opened my eyes to how much extra stuff I have that is not necessary to what I'm doing. And I really love that. So are you guys okay? How are you determining what options you have? Meaning like you get an item. Should you donate it? Should you repair it? Should you clean it? Should you wash it? Should you just list it as is? Are you able to figure out all the different options, right? Then the next one is deciding, right? Can you decide? Are you bad at deciding? So you know all these different things that you could do, but you can't pick one, right? So let's say that you know you can go to the Goodwill bins, you could go to the flea market, you could go to the thrift store, you could source online, but you can't commit to any of those You just think, oh, there's lots of different ways to source, but you don't think like, I source this way. So then the next one is acting. So let's say you know what to do, you're facing the right direction, you know all your options, you're going to take this option, but then you don't do it. Are you good at taking action towards where you want to go? And then finally, that's what Melanie put in the chat, which is consistency. Can you consistently do that over and over and over again? Now, I want to I'm going to go over this a few times because it's going to take a lot of time for people to understand where I'm going with this. So in July, I'm going to be starting a once a week accountability higher level reselling call. And all the people who join before July 1st, if you're in the $35 tier, you will get access to the $99 thing forever for free as long as you're in the group. So if you're here before July 1st, you can stay in that group. The idea is on Wednesday, middle of the day, you're going to update us on this. Meg is going to say she was working on organization and her options were she was going to clean her desk, the garage, and her car. And she decided to pick her car. And the way that she was going to do that is vacuum outside, inside, glove compartments were empty, and she wanted to put a little cooler in there so she could go to on a trip for 8 hours and not have to stop for food, whatever. That system, right? And if we all do that, then everyone can listen, and somebody might say, oh wow, that having a cooler in the car would save me a lot of time. In the car I have bottled water, I have extra water bottles, I have snacks. I don't need to make a fast food run because I already have food in the car that's healthy. So like if we can have 100 people share what they're working on and what they're doing at around noon on Wednesdays, around the middle of the day, which is right in the middle of the week, then that would be useful for everybody in the group to have that feedback. So if you're not in the group before July 1st, then it'll be $99 a month, but you'll pay after. So I don't really care how many people in the group. I just want people to actually see value. So if you go to the call the first 4 Wednesdays of the month and you actually see improvement, then I want to charge you $100 for it. That's the plan. So anything that you pay for that makes you more consistent is worth doing because consistency compounded over time equals a totally different person. You'll be a different person. So this loop in the military is called an OODA loop. It's observe, orient, decide, act. It's a little bit different though for us because we're not at war. Maybe we are at war with other resellers, right? But I think that for us, the time scale, I think people have stretched it out too long. You need to shorten how long your iterations are so that you can improve faster. So this the goal of this group that I'm starting on July 1st is to help people do one thing per week that they find meaningful. Has everybody got that? That's the whole point of that. Now, here's the thing. When you start to get more advanced, it doesn't take you 1 week to do something. You're doing the OODA loop with everything. Like open up the fridge, observing what's there, determining what your options are for food, deciding what you want to make, making it, right? Your kid is throwing a tantrum. You observe. Hopefully, in your mind, if you've had a kid for a while, you can think, are they hungry? Are they tired? Are they bored? Do they need attention? Right. So you can kind of go through the possible options that are in your head, right? Then you decide on one of them and you try it. And if, most people are going to get slapped in the face because it's going to be the wrong decision at first. But you're not going to wait a week to try again. You're going to try again immediately because you gotta go to school. You gotta take them to baseball practice. So like the shortness of that loop is how fast you can get better at reselling. And that's what we're going to be teaching on that Thursday. So like I'm going to be remaking I used to have the white papers, but we're going to redo that. And that resource for how to resell, I'm probably just going to make free. So anybody can just read how to resell for free. If you need coaching, you can ask Carrie in the group. She'll give you some more detailed coaching. She's going to make some programs for you guys to do it. But honestly, The more important part is that you keep trying over and over and over again and faster. Harry said he used to be terrible at deciding. He was very indecisive, but now he's much better. Like for me, if somebody asks me, what do you want to eat? I never say, I don't know. Here's the problem with I don't know. You're not helping. Somebody asks for some advice. This is what you can say. Um, you make the decision. If you don't want to say, I don't know, you say you'd make the decision. I'm cool with anything. And then actually be cool. And if you're not cool with the other person picking, then you give them options. Today I want Chinese or Thai. Don't say I don't know. That doesn't help. Right. So like most people throughout their day, no one in this group, of course, but most people are like, I don't know for everything. Open the fridge. I don't know. Close it. Go get something to eat. Get in the car. Drive. They don't know what they want. First drive-through sign. They go in there and eat. Most people eat the fast food restaurant that's closest to their house. They don't drive to like 20 minutes to go get food. Right. So the I don't know option is not helpful. And if you're asking for coaching from Carrie, if you're like, I don't know where to start, that's not, it makes it very hard. She'd have to ask you a series of 20 questions to figure out what you're trying to get at. But if you tell her, hey, Carrie, I work a 9 to 5. I also have 2 kids. I also have responsibilities at home. So I have between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m., or I have between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. to build a resale business. I want to do $200 a profit a day so I can double my income. I want to use my second income to buy a house in 6 years, but I don't know how to resell. Where do I start with $200 profit? Where do I even begin? And then Carrie can maybe give some ideas, and she can start with, maybe she needs to do some product research and figure out what niche she wants to go into. Maybe she just needs to start and go out and buy items. Now, I didn't ask you guys on this one. On the acting part, how high are you guys on a scale of 1 to 10? If you knew what to do, or you don't know what to do, on a scale of 1 to 10 for action, what are you guys at? Harris is 9, 6, 9. So I think that personally, my action is very high, but I need to spend more time in the weighing my options stage. I don't have a problem taking action, but I just need to make sure I'm taking the correct action, the one that actually has the biggest effect. So now this is really cool. The software that I use for payroll is called Gusto, Gusto, and they just gave me a performance review tab. So then I can go in and review people's performance. So I could go in with Melanie or Carrie and say, okay, this month we're going to talk about the 5 things. So I'm going to give you an example of one of my workers that I gave to her. So I'm like, okay. So first off, your observation skills are on point. When you're selling, right, and you notice that nobody wants to buy it, you have very, very good observation skills. Next is the orienting yourself in the right direction. You're doing a good job of that. Like you're going through the steps, you're doing a good idea. The third step is weighing your options. This one you're very poor at. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give you like a 2 or a 3. You're not good at adapting because you don't know your options. You like there's 100 different options you could take if something is wrong, and you're not coming up with any of those options. So that's where we're going to spend the majority of our training. And Gusto recommends, what do you guys think of this? They recommend 3 positive things, 1 negative thing. So they're like, if you hit somebody with 4 negative things in a row, they'll probably quit their job. It's too hard, right? And they don't feel like they're failing at the position. But if you hit them with too many good things, and they have no idea how to improve. So they're recommending 3 good things, one needs improvement. Okay, so she doesn't know what options to take. Next, on the deciding, she's good at deciding, and the action part, she's a 10 out of 10. Extremely action oriented. So I need to show her how to make those options on the fly. So yesterday was a really, really good example. So for the first time, I did a company meeting and I had all my staff together and I was going over the training and I had people stream with different people to get um, feedback. And I have one lady who used to own a food truck and she was streaming with the lady who doesn't have any option. Her options level is really low as a reseller. And she noticed literally immediately things that were wrong. She's like, hey, when you have an item that you're not quite sure of, you kind of just you kind of skip the steps that we normally go through. You don't go like if you pick up an item that you're not familiar with, you kind of stumble through the things that we always go over, which is like brand, category, type, size, regardless of what it is. We still go over those things. But when you pick up something that you're not familiar with, you skip over that. And then when the price drops, you don't actually change anything. You just do the next one like that. So she texted me when the stream was going, the lady who has a food truck, and she said, this is not working. I'm going to stop it and we'll try again. And I said, great. So in lean production, if there's a problem, it's okay to stop it, stop the assembly line and go back and fix it. So the girl that I gave the performance, the lady I gave the performance review, she said, I had never seen that in action. I've never seen somebody stop and regroup ever. And I'm like, there we go. That's why that's where we can work on it because I'll stop and figure out what's wrong before I continue. So like a lot of resellers don't stop to evaluate if they're doing a good job or not. They just act, buy. And they don't have any, there's no the other parts they're not doing. Harry says it takes a lot of courage to stop and regroup. I agree. And maybe I can help this lady with her self-confidence so she can stop, take a deep breath, regroup, and start over again. Um, she has the never quit attitude, which um, I think most of us have that skill in them. I don't think anybody here is a quitter, otherwise you wouldn't be in this group. Um, James says he remembers his first company meeting. Yeah, it was a really good feeling. I ordered some food. We got together. I went over the exact processes. This is what I went over. I went over security. I went over fire. I went over earthquake. I don't know if you guys have to do this stuff in your state. Security. I went over attendance policy. I said if you are over an hour late and it's not an emergency and you haven't called, you're fired. There's no such, you cannot do no call, no show. It's so disrespectful to everybody here. Um, but if you call me an hour before, any reason is fine. Go ahead, Becky.
Hey, good morning. Um, you hit on something that I wanted to alert you to that I think is really a major aspect of reselling, and that is we it's like for us as a large family, when one of your kids is sick, it's like
Yep.
suddenly you don't remember what you're supposed to do. It's
Yep.
like, what do I do? Oh, I don't know. I have to call a friend of mine who has kids so they can tell me what to do. Oh yeah, chicken soup and hydration and rest. Okay, okay, we got it, you know.
Yep.
So in the reselling world, you're right. We just like do and do and do. We buy and list and buy and list and buy and list, but we don't always analyze what are we doing wrong? What can we improve on? What's the matter here? Um, and I really think that is a weakness. I know it can be for me. I'm like in my zone, you know, I'm doing my daily mundane routine that I do all the time. And I'm not always stepping back and looking
Yes.
at the situation on how I can improve.
So, Becky, thank you so much for sharing that. And now that I have two, not nine like you, but the I remember now that because I've been doing some like military and warehouse training and like in a setting where because essentially I have 18 employees right now. It's like I kind of have 18 kids, right? Um, I can't, I need to, the OODA loop where you observe and orient and act, I need to do that immediately if something is going on, right? So, like, Now that I've been doing this for many years, I've learned a lot of different things, how to orient myself. So as an example, yesterday they were fixing the sewer lateral and they completed it. So maybe finally my warehouse can be up to code. The guy came in and said, "Hey, we're going to work on the sewer lateral today." And I said, "Is it going to affect our plumbing?" Right? Because like normally you could say like, "What the hell? You guys didn't tell me you were coming today." Um, what do you mean you're like, like a whole crew showed up in front of my building, was causing an insane amount of noise on my company meeting day, right? So I was like, is it going to affect our plumbing? Because I was like, instead of being emotional or being flustered, I was like, what is this going to, okay, what could this affect? He said, yes, you're not going to have plumbing for 5 hours. I said, okay, this is like, this is where I was about to get flustered, right? Because I'm like, dude, doesn't work. Can't shut off the plumbing without at least 1 day's notice. But he said we brought a porta potty for your staff, which was like, that's completely reasonable. I feel like that's completely reasonable. So he brought a porta potty, told my staff there was no issue. But it was like, um, I think that I have a new podcast coming out in a couple of days, and it talks about. I think the reason why my reselling leveled up so much is working with independent contractors for everything, and it's helped me so much because independent contractors, they go in with a very specific task. These guys are supposed to go in, fix the sewer. So specific. Get there, they dig up the concrete in the street that goes to it. They go in there, there's all this long list of things they need to do. They finish, they close it all up, they re-cement it, and then they leave, right? It's so specific. They're never there 1 minute longer than they need to. You just go in there and do it and leave. And I feel like that's how reselling should be. Why does it have to be how we want to do it? Right? Why can't it just be the easiest way to do it? There's some parts of it where you could throw in a little pizzazz and make it your way, but like photography, let's not pizzazz that up. Let's just make that easy. Listing, let's just go through the 13 parts of the listing and make sure that they're good. But Becky, with my kids, I know it's going to take 15 minutes longer than normal for every single thing now. And sometimes it goes over, and I've already prepared myself for that. I'm just like, you know what? With a kid, it's just going to be a disaster sometimes. It's okay, it's part of it. Right? This year, the spring breaks, we have two different childcares because our kids are two different ages and don't match up. So the two different schedules, and then both of them have spring break on different weeks. It's crazy. It's like you'd think like there'd be a memo that goes out that spring break needs to be the same. It's not. And they're not even close to each other. So like that's something you can't plan for, and then you have to just deal with it. And I was just thinking, um, there's so much this is okay, this is gonna sound a little bit weird. Um, I think that all this planning, if I could call it a word, it would be called love. Even though it doesn't feel like that, it's really caring. It's truly caring. Like, and this is where it's like if you get home from whatever and your person like you want to actually eat. I know it sounds really hokey, but I think that like you can tell when somebody cares, and it affects the like if somebody asks you what you want to eat and you say I don't know, that's not caring about the other person. It doesn't work. That's a very low level BS answer. You decide much better. Or here's a couple of options. That's much better. Right. And if you can't make the decision, you saying you make the decision is still a form of love because that's how it sounds so hokey, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's the closest thing to like looking at your I honestly love reselling. I love all of it. I love the title, the pictures, the item specific, all of it. I care. I want it to be as good as I can do it. So like there's not a um I don't know how else to describe it. It's like extreme care. You can tell. You can tell when somebody likes to sell things. right away. It's like obvious. But then that same person does the same thing with other things. I just think it's the dinner thing is the best thing to go off of. The decisive thing, it's a form of caring. Yesterday I saw an Instagram story of this guy speak. It was a black guy in China ordering fast food, and he ordered in Mandarin. And the lady said, "Oh my God, how can you speak Chinese like that? How?" And he's like, I went to school for a year and a half, and I learned." And she's like, "I went to school for many years. You speak Chinese like a native. How?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm really passionate and I love the Chinese language. I love it. I love learning. That's why I sound perfect because I care. I want all the intonations to match. I want the sense of humor to match." And you know what the Chinese lady said? She said, "You are one of us. I can't charge you for this food. You have to have this food for free." I cannot believe you took that kind of care in learning our language. That's so cool. And I was just thinking, I've never loved anything like that guy loved the Chinese language. He sounded insanely native. And he posted it yesterday, and they got 400,000 likes in one day. Because how rare is that? How rare is it to love something so much that it blows people away? A complete stranger was like, "I cannot believe you can speak Chinese like that. It's literally unbelievable. It's so accurate." The he was like joking with the lady. He was like, he had the sense of humor down. And this is from a year and a half of study. And I took 4 years of Spanish, and I can't hold a conversation. Right. But that made me realize, I mean, I told my wife, I'm like, "Damn, I do not love you like this guy loves Chinese. How does he sound like that? It's unbelievable." Like the amount of hours and time it would take to practice and learn, and learn all of the colloquialisms of an area, and like to do that is just amazing. I did. It was funny though. She was like, "You're right, you don't." Because she saw it too. She saw that guy affect this lady to the point where she was like, she had to sit down because she was just blown away by this guy. So my wife and I were watching it together, and I was just blown away at how that kind of care for something, it affected me. It made me think, wow, this is how maybe how kids learn. They genuinely want to learn how to communicate with their parents, with their friends. They genuinely want to care, and it shows. But man, I'll send you. I'll find it. I don't know if I can put it on YouTube, but I'm gonna find it for you guys. Actually, I don't care about copyright infringement. I'll try and find it. Let's see, find it. Yeah, I'm gonna find it for you guys. I'll find it. Here it is. It's been shared like a million times in one day. See if I can get it for you guys. 哎哎，你什么？哎，不是，不是，我不知道。啊，哎，什么事儿啊？哎，你怎么会我出城出长的，知道吗？出城出长的北京人。我还以为你们认识呢。我不认识了，我忘记了。从哪个地方我认识你啊？我不知道。哎，对我在北京1年半的时间在学中文1年半的时间吧。啊，对。那你为什么学的这么好嘞？我学中文是我的爱好，知道吗？我就专心致志去学它，我很喜欢学中文。So you put. She's like, how do you speak so well? And he said, "Because I love studying Chinese. I put my whole heart into studying the language." And I was like, anyway, it continues, and the lady gives, she's like, I'm giving you this food for free. This is just so cool. I can't believe you did that. And just can you imagine putting your whole heart into something like that? Vince says the traditional way of memorizing words is not very helpful. So I told my wife that on a scale of 1 to 10, I only love her an 8.5. This is the first time I've seen a 10. Never seen that. Because I know how I'm Chinese and it's hard. I can't speak like that. I can't. It doesn't sound like that. It doesn't sound native. Like everything about that is unbelievable. I know, right, Jamie? I just haven't, I've never seen a 10 before. And I can admit that what I thought was a 10 is an 8.5. I don't know if that makes sense for you guys, but I had never seen love at that level. It's so hard to do. Like, um, it's just different. It's different. Your wife is a 13. I love it, Jamie. But you know how actions speak louder than words? That that spoke a 10 to me. I've never seen that before. That kind of care. Um, so sometimes, Vince, people will learn another language for a person. You guys have seen that before. I actually find that incredible when somebody like takes the effort to learn the language of their significant other. You know, it's hard, especially if you're not that type. Yeah, you don't know what he's saying, but you can see the reaction of the people in the I'll put the link in here so you guys can watch it later. But you can see the reaction to everybody in there. This lady, she asked a great question. How did you learn so well? Because that's the secret. So I guess if I were to equate to this to reselling, right? And I were to say, how if somebody asked me, how were you able to get your reselling level to that level? I could say, I put my whole heart into it. But after watching this video, I only give myself an 8 out of 10. It's not that level. And I can admit that. It's not a level 10. So I don't know. Why are you guys feeling like it's dangerous to talk to your wife like that? It's honest. Because it's fake. You could say to your wife, I love you like a 10. She'd be and your if your wife was watching the same video as you, she would say, no, you don't. You do not love me like that. That's like a full all day effort to do that. Unequivocal love is different than that intensity. This is intensity of effort. To be, he's from the US. I don't know where he's from, like Boston. How does he speak perfect Chinese? Makes zero sense. I'm gonna see where this guy is from.
Chris, he has other videos that he walks around the town talking to different people. Have you seen all that? Not just
I
that recent.
have, and he's an artist. You guys probably know his band. His band is called Pentatonics.
Oh,
He's a vocalist.
oh, I didn't
He's a
know.
cello player.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
but I mean, like he's a singer and a beatboxer. But can you like this
Wow.
guy? Um, it appears that he loves lots of things in his life with this type of intensity, right? And it just inspired me. I want to be like that. I want to put more effort into more effort in so that it shows like literally this guy is so passionate about what he does is that he's famous because of it. I guess okay, I think I know why it affected me so much. Sometimes when you see a musician, right? Have you guys ever seen somebody, a musician or an athlete, and you're like, wow, that person is gifted, right? Michael Jordan, LeBron James. When I watch them, it doesn't affect me like this guy spoke Chinese because there's nothing gifted about him speaking Chinese. He had to start from zero. Doesn't know the words, doesn't know the internet, doesn't know anything. Maybe because he's a singer, he can speak better, but that's a stretch to me. I would say, Jamie, the way that you take care of your son is it's hard to compare, but it's like that level of care, if you pour it into your business while you are at work, I think your results are going to be a lot different. And these are the 5 things I was talking about: observation, determining what you want to do, deciding on what you want to do, and then going for it. I mean, I'm talking about effort. I'm not talking about how much do you love your wife. I'm talking about the effort level of figuring out everything about her, what she wants, delivering stuff to her where she's like floored at how well you catered to what she wanted. That's what I'm talking about. Obviously, most people here love their spouses 10 out of 10, but like the action part is what I'm talking about. Go ahead, Jamie.
Years ago, I did what everybody needs to do with their eBay stores, and I got rid of my death pile with all my relationships. All my relationships are tens or higher. And if they're not in my life. It doesn't matter if it's an eBay relationship, the relationship with my wife, the relationship with my kids, with my mailman or our dog groomer. Like, if I don't even interact with people that aren't tens for me. It's a complete waste of my time. And if I meet a new person and I quickly find out that they're not a 10, I just respectfully move on.
Yeah. And I think of that too. Like I love the saying long-term things with long-term people. And that's how I think of everything. That's like why I didn't want to become friends with Juan at the library, because I'm like, dude, I don't have time to be friends with you for 6 months while our kids go to the library together. I don't want to invest. I want to like, but now Juan and I are good friends. He figured out his way in, and now I really like that he is working on the uh, we have a shared journey together. He's trying to make sure that his kids learn Spanish growing up, and I want to make sure I can keep up with my kids with Chinese. But yeah, loving a 10 and acting a 10 is different. Because like, do I love my wife at 10? Yes. Do I act like it? 8.5. Right? It's just different. Acting is just so different. What do you guys give yourself if we're going to go on a scale of 100 because it's easier? What do you guys rate your overall effort for your resale business out of 100? I'm definitely 85 or higher. 80. I love it. So let me ask you guys, what could make it higher? I know what would make it higher for me, which would be not growing, staying the same size, and or maybe even shrinking a little bit and just tightening everything up. That would make me higher. I don't need to sell more to be higher for me personally. Can't say, Vince. Um, so this is the what I was talking about earlier. I'll talk about Vince after I talk to Meg. Meg, what's up? Good morning.
So what I'm having an issue with lately is that I'm gonna move from Hawaii to Chicago like pretty soon. I'm kind of like feel stuck in a holding pattern, partially because of eBay. I only have like a 400 item store, and I've been keeping it small on purpose because I know this is coming up. My question or my problem is I can't like take everything with. Like so I went through and I like went through all the SKUs or almost all of it and put like nay or yay next to the item to see if I would take it with if it still didn't sell yet. But so the ones I wouldn't take with, and these are like bad buys or bad decision making for, let's say, jewelry, I put things individually instead of lotted it up. So I'm thinking either I could like do split it up into like, let's say, 3 weeks of auctions, or a few weeks of auctions, and take them off like that in like chunks, or just take everything down and then start back over when I get back to Chicago, which could be interesting because everyone, or like people say like, oh, if I could start over again. And then I really could, because I would have like I could sell off like everything pretty quickly or whatever if I take it all down, lot it all up to sell off everything to have the capital to like kind of start back over.
Are you gonna when are you moving?
I don't know. So that I mean it's soon. Yeah. Like I said, part of this, like I have been indecisive about this, like with eBay. So
When do you want to move?
uh I'll say 2 months. A month and a half.
Okay. Can I ask why you want to move?
Oh yeah, because I'm an only child and my parents are getting pretty like older and like kind of getting sickly, so I want to get there before they're too like sickly to spend time with.
Gotcha. And are you gonna move like how long do you plan on staying in Chicago? For a while, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So um I would say there's a few options, right? You could either sell everything and just move and have a clean slate, right? There's you could bring the entire store with you and not change
No,
it.
cannot.
Why not?
That'd be so much money, like to shipping things over there or whatever. I mean, I guess with luggage, but that'd be a lot of luggage. Like
True.
my store's half clothing, half jewelry. If it was just jewelry, then fine.
But this is what because Vince earlier said he wasn't sure what he could do to be higher on a scale of 1 to 100. So like in this scenario, we would need to weigh all of your options first. One option sending everything, which you didn't like, which is great. Then bringing nothing, you didn't have what's your response to that?
Mm, there's still like some items I would take with just because I know they like will sell
For
soon
more
or
money.
eventually. So
Okay. Does it appeal to you does it appeal to you at all starting over?
yeah, kind of. Because
Why?
it would be good to actually do it completely, well, try to do it completely right the first time. Like
Right.
buy, like I said, like if I sell off enough of it or whatever, and I will be able to have the money to like, I don't know, let's say buy 5 or 10 like amazing items and then actually track and take the money I earned from those sales and then like buy two more, like repeat kind of thing.
What other stuff are you bringing with you? Furniture.
No, no, God, no. I have to sell my car too, so I have to like figure that part out. I'm trying to like sell off like everything I can and just start over.
So you're just gonna two suitcase it over?
I think so, yeah. One of my friends is visiting me this weekend, so I'm having her bring a suitcase worth of stuff back too.
Hmm.
And the
Uh,
books I have here, I'm gonna ship them medium mail.
so you're gonna ship the books in your store back.
No, they're not in my store, sorry. Just like the books I have for like jewelry reference books or whatever.
Got you, personal books.
Yeah.
Okay. So another option would be liquidating some of your inventory and bringing some.
Yeah.
That's what you're leaning towards?
Yeah. I think it's just like how I don't know what's gonna affect my sales the least because unfortunately I haven't like saved up enough to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. So I'm like trying to like plan it out of like how quickly I could liquidate it and get it restarted. Like if I take everything down in my store, like I wonder how long it'll take to get like consistent sales up. Because I guess sorry, the other question would be like when I get back to Chicago, let's say even if I started over completely, like should I list all of them at once again? Like let's say if there's 100, list them all that day, or just like spread it out and do like 10 at a time or something.
Man, these are all such great questions. So, and I was able to ask you all these questions without giving you any advice, which is great for me. Because I want you to, I want to like show people how to evaluate what is possible. So I can see doing it a couple of ways. And I'm going to give you the options for how I would approach all three options. Assuming I was going to ship the entire thing over and just continue, pros of that would be there's a certain size store that produces the income that you need. Um, Whatever size store that is, 400 items is positive direction towards that. So what you would need to do is just like, or what I would do is remove items that are bad and keep adding good items until it is Reseller Nirvana and it has a certain number of items that build my income. The cons are I'd have to ship the entire thing, which is not, it's difficult because Hawaii to the States is expensive. So it's cost prohibitive, but it'd probably be like 2 pallets of stuff, um, something like that, maybe 1 pallet of stuff over, and that would cost probably $1,000, maybe a little less to ship it all over. That's 250 an item. If you were to do the bigger stuff and just take the jewelry, that seems more reasonable because maybe you can discount your items $1,000 and move the heavier, bulkier stuff locally, or you could also do a fire sale and do everything at $1 starting tomorrow and do 10 days, and then most of your stuff will sell. You can spend some time shipping it, and you'll get a cash injection from selling your store that maybe would move over. And then um, let's see. If you're gonna go complete, yeah, if you're gonna go completely empty, then I would start the sale immediately, and I would move to Chicago as soon as possible to maximize time with my parents and start over from scratch because I feel like the sourcing in Chicago is pretty good. So unless the items that you have are completely irreplaceable, I would definitely recommend you go to Chicago with no items.
Okay, makes sense.
Even the items that you could get more or they would sell quickly or they're small. There's
Yeah.
a different type of reseller mental real estate that opens up when you have no items.
Makes sense. Yeah, there weren't that many yays on my nay or yay list, to be honest.
Right? I would love to have everyone in the group sell to zero. Reset to literally zero items. Because I feel like our quote unquote reseller savings account, all of our things in there, right? I feel like that's enough to restart with, like, do you know what you paid for those items, Meg?
My average cost of good right now is like $359.
So would you take $1,600 for your items right now?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could buy much more better things. Or like I said, like I wasted so much time when I first switched over to jewelry, being like, oh, I'll just list them all individually, and then if they don't sell, I'll lot them up later.
Yeah.
Not thinking like, oh, I don't even have a volume-based model, so why am I gonna like sell earrings for $5? That's stupid. So
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. But that's just essentially what you paid for your items. So I think in the future, everyone here should have a plan for liquidating your store in, let's call it a month if you had to, and at least getting your money back. And I think you should set a hard deadline, Meg, for moving.
yeah, I gotta give my property manager like I forgot maybe 45 days notice or something. So I think once I set the deadline, like I'll get my act together.
July 1st. Let's go.
All right. Sounds good. It's a plan.
Yeah, it's um I've been doing these articles because it doesn't matter if you don't get done by July 1st, but it does set everything in motion and you can adjust it. So the thing on the OODA loop thing that firefighter or fighter jet pilots use is they're doing the loop over and over and over again so they don't die and they can kill the enemy when they're going there. But when you're in regular life, it's not life or death if Meg leaves July 1st or August 1st, really. It can be any time.
Well, I
But
can't do a month of a hotel once I give notice.
yeah, that's true. Right, but it's like you won't die.
No.
But but the thing is, I think that because a fighter jet pilot could die, the cycle is shorter. Like things happen as soon as they could happen, and then they reiterate again and again. So like you might be thinking, I want to move back to my parents as soon as possible and work backwards from that is one way to do it. Um, Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, I want to throw out there for Meg and for everybody else and compliment what you just said. About a week ago, I was looking at my pictures and I never cropped them just because it took all that extra time to crop the pictures. So last week I decided that moving forward, my main photo I'm going to crop. I started doing that, and then I started looking at other things, and then I started going back to listings from October, November, December of last year, and I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed of the photos, I was embarrassed of the titles and the descriptions. So last Wednesday, I was at 1,582 listings, and I'm currently down to right around 480 listings. So my goal this week, I've been systematically deleting 125 listings a day. I started on Sunday, and I'm going to be done on next Saturday. So everything on my store will be brand new listings from May 1st until I'm done. And I haven't really seen a bump yet, but when I look at my store, I'm so much prouder of every part of it. Like the feeling of being able to go back and know what you're doing this time, like really have confidence in yourself that you know what you're doing. I think the payoffs on this, when I get completely done with it, will be much greater than tenfold. So I definitely encourage you, Meg, to go for it. Do what Chris said, liquidate and start over new with all the fresh knowledge that you have.
Yeah, makes sense. Because now once even when I've gone back and like optimized old listings, like I'll end them, like redo them, and I'm like, oh my God, I did this all wrong. Now I know what to do. And like there's been a couple times where I'm like, I know I can get this to sell. Like even though I mean some of them haven't been like that much profit, but it's just like I'm stubborn about it. I'll look at like why did these other people were able to sell it and figure it out. So now I feel like I can get like most things to sell.
Yeah, I think it's such a cool experiment to sell everything, and you want to sell it in a manner that um, yields the most profit in the time frame you give yourself.
Yeah, because I have a quick sell through rate, but then it's like if I sell off them in chunks, then I feel like after I sell off, let's say a third of my store, like the other sales will slow down possibly. So that's what I was thinking, maybe auctions. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, if I give my like you said, give myself a deadline, like I'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's the. I think you just discovered the secret to reselling, Meg. The reason why people struggle with reselling is there is no deadline. Honestly, like I was looking at my inventory. Yesterday, my landlord came and he asked me, "How long does something take to sell?" And I was like, "Okay, that's a complicated answer. You have a second?" He's like, "Sure." I'm like, "Okay, this stuff over here, it'll be gone in 2 weeks. It's on trend, it's on brand, it's exactly what people are looking for. This stuff over here is going to take 2 years to sell because it doesn't have enough market to yield this type of sale. Like you have if you had 60 North Face pink jackets, size 7 kids, you might only sell 2 a month. You can't sell them cheaper and have them move faster necessarily because there's only so many people looking for it. So it might take you 5 years to sell that many kids North Face jackets, even if they're new, for a reasonable price, right? Unless you liquidate them for $1 each. But like if you want a reasonable price, maybe only one person per month is going to buy it. So if you don't set a time frame when you pick an item up at Goodwill, it'll just sit in your store forever. Kevin has an item that was listed for three years and 2 months that just sold, and he made 35 cents. He paid the insertion fee on that roughly for 36 months, right? 38 months. And you have to think, how much do I want to pay to store this item? And it's almost like um, you should be thinking you might be moving. Maybe that's like the secret for me. Like I've always thought I was going to be moving to a bigger place. And now my 3-year lease started. So I'm not moving to a new place. So maybe I can just be good for a little bit and try to optimize because I've always been thinking about moving somewhere else. I moved from New York to California. I moved from Utah to New York, and those deadlines. I remember moving to New York with 2 suitcases, and I moved from New York to California with 2 suitcases. And Meg, when I moved from New York City to California, I had a 2,000 item eBay store of all sneakers, and I shipped the whole thing.
Yeah, that makes sense because there'd be enough profit per item to make that like a good decision.
Yeah,
With mine,
that,
unfortunately, like it wouldn't be worth it. But when I restart my store, hopefully that would be a different answer.
wow. Yeah, I think that the time frame you pick is going to be determining what actions you take. All right, guys, thank you. That was a really good conversation for me. I had a good, hopefully you guys got out of it too. I was just thinking about the time frame. How long is it going to take to sell?
I feel like reselling has made me like not be as decisive in that way, like because there is no deadline. So now, because when I moved from like Chicago to Hawaii, like I don't know, I had like 3 weeks notice. There was no issue. I don't remember being like I have anxiety about it.
Yeah.